All right, welcome back to the SSL Family Dad channel. Today I'm going to give a recap of this summer, the summer of 2019, starting with the spring, what has been going on around here, what has worked, what hasn't worked, kind of a summary of everything that we've done. We're moving into a new season, into the fall now, and we're going to be focusing on new projects and new renovations and new things with animal upkeep and all kinds of things like that. And so I just want to kind of go over. Maybe you've been watching the channel, but sporadically through the summer. Summer's a busy time. We like to get outside and maybe spend less time on YouTube. And so hopefully we'll be able to catch you up today on what all has been happening around here. So this year, 2019, started off rough. Springtime was a very difficult time here in Michigan for farmers, homesteaders, and anybody that wanted to garden or do anything outside because it was wet, and it stayed wet all the way into June. And so we got a very late start on a lot of things around here, but also specifically here on the SSL family farm, in April, I was attacked by one of our American guinea hog boars. That started off our spring, and I spent a few days in the hospital and had some surgery and muscles repaired, and I had about a 12-inch cut open on the back of my leg, and luckily survived it and didn't have any arteries cut and tendon damage, but there was a bit of a recovery process for that. It took me about a month to get back on my feet without crutches and get back to moving around here. And so that really set us back. I wasn't able to do a whole lot that I wanted to do this early spring with gardening and getting things planted around here. I wasn't able to get our sunflower patch planted back in the back that we had planned to do. That was going to be animal feed and other things for us. That project had to get put on hold because of the weather, because of the mud, because of the rain, and because of the pig attack. Our kitchen garden did not even get planted this year until later in the summer. June and July we started planting some things because of that, so we got a really late start on a lot of our normal homesteading stuff that we do around here. But we've had a lot of great success with growing food for ourselves this year. The heated greenhouse, the heated hoop and a hoop out there worked so well this year in the springtime that we actually had peppers and tomatoes and carrots and cabbage and Swiss chard and kale and potatoes and radishes and all these things. We had all that stuff that we were harvesting in April, May, and June of this year. We got all kinds of vegetables that grew out that we planted in February, March in there, which worked so well. We also planted a huge wheat field. The wheat did pretty well, but it got overgrown with weeds, and that project or that experiment this year was kind of a mixed success. You can see behind me I do have a few bundles of wheat. I did get quite a few bundles of wheat that are hanging up here in the barn drying. But I was not able to adequately or efficiently harvest that field. It was just completely overgrown with weeds. And so I have a different plan next year on how I'm going to plant wheat so that I can do it organically and do it without using any herbicides or anything like that, but still get a decent harvest. But there'll still be some more coming up on wheat. It's safe in here and out of the wet, and so that'll kind of dry for us until I can get a machine of some sort built and hobbled together to thresh that and actually get the wheat seeds out of that so we can process that into flour. That's the plan. So I'll have more on that coming soon. I was able to, instead of planting sunflowers, plant a huge millet patch in place of the sunflowers this year. And so that millet is growing really well, and actually if I find some dry weather over the next couple weeks, I'll be harvesting that, and we're going to experiment with trying to bale that and use that as food for pigs, horses, and cows this year. The hay harvest here on the farm was difficult this year. We did get our first cutting, but not until late June. Normally that's an early May, mid-May, late May at the latest kind of thing that we do around here. We were only able to get 2 cuttings off of our hay fields when we normally get 3 or even 4 some years. Weather was just very difficult this year. We had a super wet spring, which prevented us from getting out there and baling the hay. And then once we got that baled, all of a sudden the rain went away and it was super dry. It was almost no rain for almost a month. And then the grass and hay didn't grow back. And so that really stunted everything. So we weren't able to get a huge hay harvest. But you can see behind me, we do have a good barn full of hay. So we should be able to feed our goats, pigs, cows, and horses this year throughout the wintertime with no trouble. We did have a successful kitchen garden. We had planted a fall garden in early August, late July time period, and we have a great garden growing out there right now. The weather has been perfect this fall, and it still looks like it's going to be warm at least for the next 2, 3, maybe even 4 weeks. And so I'm hoping that we can continue pushing that garden to grow as late in the year as possible and get as much out of it as we can. So this year has meant a lot of changes for us in our livestock operations, with many more changes to come. We have learned so much over the last few years. This year was a year to reset and kind of redo those operations and take what we've learned of doing this farming here in Michigan and then apply that to a new and kind of redone, redesigned, and rethought out operation for all of our livestock. And so this spring we had new pigs born on the farm. I had tossed around the idea of getting out of the pigs entirely. I haven't decided. After one almost killed me, I was a little reluctant to continue to keep those animals and breed them around here, keeping older boars on the farm. And so I think I have a way to raise those pigs on our property here that might be sustainable and kind of prevent some of those problems that I learned from there. And so we still have a breeding pair. I'm going to keep those until next spring, and we'll see if we can, we'll make that final decision there. We had 6 new piglets born on the farm. One of those was sold, and so we still have 5 piglets that we'll be raising out throughout the year, and we also have an unrelated sow that we're going to be keeping here in case we want to breed them again. So we do have pigs still, and we will continue to raise those out and feed them throughout the wintertime, some for pork and some for possible breeding. We also changed our chicken operation here this year. We got rid of almost all of our chickens besides 9, and so we have our kind of a small homestead flock that we'll be raising out throughout the wintertime. And then when springtime comes, hopefully by that time I will have our new operation set up and a new coop set up in a more sustainable environment, so that they have lots of pasture to get their nutrients on. And then we're gonna jump back into chickens and go large scale. So I'd like to maybe start with 100 and maybe get up to 200 laying hens that will be rotating through all the time, with a huge incubation operation and selling meat and selling baby chicks and selling eggs and the whole operation. So look forward to that reset on the chicken operation coming soon. We also saw 2 new horses added to the farm, Sugar and Snickers, and we'll be working with those horses throughout the fall time and even the winter and the spring, and starting to saddle break those horses. I'm going to start with one of them and work with her throughout the year, and we'll see if we can get a saddle on her by spring or early summer next year. We're going to be working with her as much as we have time for, setting up round pens and other things for them. So we saw them added to the farm. We also saw a new cow added to our farm just recently, and so we have a mini milking cow, a Jersey, and she's just over a year old, and she's possibly pregnant. We'll see. We'll be finding out here over the next few months, I'm sure. And so we'll be raising her out for milk and calves, hopefully in the springtime. Big changes with our goat operation this year. We are reducing and redoing that operation as well. We had a lot of goats last year. We had 2 bucks, we had a bunch of wethers here, a bunch of does. They were all pregnant. We had a lot of goat births this spring, but we didn't have a great birthing year for our goats, whether it was just too early or something else going on in our herd we were trying to figure out. But we had a lot of stillborns and we lost a lot of babies this year. But we still had 11 healthy baby kids or goat kids that we sold off the farm this year, as well as we sold a bunch of our does, traded some off for cows and drones and other things, and sold a lot of the bucks and wethers. And so we're down to 2 goats right now, and we're going to be looking to add more does to that operation so we can get that breeding cycle started up again for next spring. With that animal operation and with all these changes has come an enormous harvest for us. We harvested took in to get processed 4 pigs this year. We have a freezer absolutely packed full of hams and roasts and bacons and pork chops and ribs and all these great things that will last us probably 2 years. We'll be selling off some of that and giving some away as gifts to family and friends. But we have an enormous amount of food. We also have a full freezer full of whole chickens. With that reduction in our chicken flock, we were able to take a lot of those in and get them processed. So we have an enormous harvest and an enormous amount of meat in the freezer for this winter. This year also saw a lot of new upgrades and renovations and projects around the homestead. We got our DIY privacy fence put up that just helps add a little privacy and noise reduction to kind of the family areas of our yard. We also got that new pool set up and put in, and new pool filters and everything, and that's been working great out there. We had started a huge utility renovation in our home where we're going to be replacing the water heater and the furnace, moving the generator, redoing gas lines and plumbing, and moving water softeners, and a bunch of other things that you'll see here upcoming soon. We added new raised beds to our kitchen garden, upgraded the greenhouse with the heated raised bed and all that stuff earlier this year, and so that will continue to run. Added the wood boiler and all that this year to the greenhouse so that we can heat that throughout the winter time. We have spent a lot of time this year repairing things. So lawn tractor, we got the new John Deere Gator that is on long-term loan here, and that's been getting fixed up. Our vehicles have been getting fixed up. The Ford 4000 has been getting fixed up. So we've been trying to put some money into getting these things repaired. Also, we've been putting some money into updating the weatherproofing of our home, adding new storm doors, adding some new locks to those doors, and adding insulation and other things like that later this year as well. And so just trying to up that heating capacity and heating efficiency of that wood stove in the basement. And last but not least, we also made some updates in our forest. We added some trails back there, cleared out some trails to ride four-wheelers and hopefully horses one day, and just take walks and things like that, especially in the fall. It's a beautiful time back there. And also kind of cleared a new campsite where we can go and spend some time back in the woods and be away from home and have vacation time, but still not be too far away to take care of all the animals and things that we need to take care of around here. And so that is a welcome update. We'll be using that throughout the fall. You'll probably be seeing some camping videos coming out on just different things that we do when we go camping. It's a lot of fun. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the 2019 recap, the summer and spring recap anyway. It was a rough start to the year this year with the pig attack, and the weather here in Michigan just really was not cooperating. It really set us back, as well as a lot of farmers in the area. But we were able to get through that time and get a whole lot of things accomplished this year. We're really happy with what we've been able to do. And there's so many more things to do. My list keeps growing and growing. So never a shortage of projects and videos to make around here. And so look forward to a lot of good stuff coming up this fall. Before we know it, it'll be maple syrup season again. And I really hope to get that operation ironed out and upgraded as well. So if this is your first time to the SSL Family Dad channel, of course, I'd love to have you subscribe and follow along for all of the things that we just recapped and talked about. These are the kinds of things we do here, as well as many others. So I'd love to have you tag along for that. Of course, hit thumbs up on the video today. It really does make a difference in the ranking of these videos and how many people they reach and where they appear in search results. So hit the thumbs up button every time. As always, guys, thanks for watching. Have a good one.